Holi, holi, Paletitas. Welcome back to another episode of Las Paleteras. I'm Cesar Camacho.
Y yo soy José Richard, alias Nalgona.
Y yo soy Ana Shelia.
Y juntas somos Las Paleteras. Ok, amigas, ¿cómo andan hoy? Cuéntenme. Any new chisme? Any new men?
Why? I love it.
Any new girls?
No comment.
Oh,
I'm like, espérate.
They're not new?
No, but I think... oh my God, you just got it.
La verdad es que neta, yo soy la que siempre agarra la onda, like, súper tarde.
yeah, we.
Sí. No, but I've been curious.
No, I'm kidding.
I've been curious porque, amigas, ustedes en casita saben que hicimos un episodio donde esta personita aquí a mi lado confesó muchas cosas de lo que le gusta y lo que le gustaría hacer. Have you tried out anything new from any of the things that you've done? Or you said you did? I can remind
We've
you.
had some time.
We talked a little bit about...
No, I'm scared.
Right, we talked a little bit about anal play.
Peggy.
The pegging, about being more done.
I mean,
Spanking.
oh my God, I'm a little shy right now.
Oh, okay.
Bueno, pues.
Pero.
Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, I'm enjoying.
Well, we can ask you
Anyway,
too. I mean, we can ask you too because you also said you were.
I've been super innocent this last week and a half. So no new men, but
Nothing.
actually, I did meet someone.
Wait, tell them
The
the
one
crying
that- and
story.
We were in his
Didn't you-
car, and he was super
Is this a
sweet.
situationship or no?
No, it was like a new guy, and he was
Okay.
super sweet. I mean, I'm probably still gonna text him anyways, but yeah, we were just talking and no sé qué le pasó, but something triggered this conversation donde se desahogó conmigo. Pero se desahogó. He was tears, crying, and I'm there in the car okay, girl, pues let it out. It's okay. If it's been so long, suelta todo. We're already here. It's 3 a.m. in the morning, in the middle of downtown LA. Just let it out.
Have they texted you since then?
Yeah, we've been trying to hang out, but I've just been so busy. But
Okay, so
I mean, I was crying in a Porsche, so I felt fine.
So you barely knew him, pero se desahogó
Oh,
contigo.
they met that day.
We met that day.
Y se desahogó contigo.
Y se desahogó conmigo. No sé qué. Tenía como todo bien atorado, and he just
my
let it all out. Which
God.
I'm
Isn't
like,
that the closet?
yeah.
Okay.
And I'm I guess this happens a lot where guys just feel a little too comfortable, and they start crying to me all the time.
Oh, it's because
I'm like,
it's because he seems so
not the-
sweet.
no, this is not the first time, dude. This happens so many
So
times.
what does that
Oh
say
my
about
God.
Should I be a
you?
therapist?
I mean, but what does that say about you? Are you opening up a lot?
Do
No, I feel like
open
I'm
up a lot?
just. Maybe they just feel really comfortable.
I mean, because you're so
real.
sweet.
I mean, I like when
You're
guys
really
are vulnerable.
You're really sweet.
Yeah.
You give, yeah.
And we
And I
also-
wasn't a dick about it. I was let it out. Don't apologize. Let it all out, mijita.
Okay,
Tú,
pero
suelta
did it
todo.
kill your vibe or no?
I mean,
querías palo, bebé.
quería something. I don't know about palo the first night, but it's una dama.
bebé.
I mean, yeah, because we were making out and chilling, and then it kind of just did a whole 360.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Oh.
he was a nice guy. He apologized, and it's okay. We'll still hang out.
We did establish in another episode that this one was the mama's boy, so maybe they just see a mother figure in you. That just got very
I'm
psychoanalytical.
cuéntame todos tus penas,
Cuéntame.
todos tus problemas.
Cuéntame. Shout out to Lucerito.
Is that who it is?
Yeah, Lucerito.
I didn't even know
Yeah.
that.
Our
Con
queen.
el pelo.
Con
I don't
pelo
know about
rubio.
that, but,
Did y'all
you
know que su hija tiene una hija que también canta y todo?
Oye, canta bien bonito, tiene una
Yes.
voz.
My
Lucerito.
mom
She's
was telling me
super
she's really
talented.
talented.
100%. Y es la misma cagada de pinche Mijares y Lucero. It's
Yeah,
them
it's
at one. It's
I love her. She's super talented.
I think they're queer, but it's okay. Lucerito,
We love you.
come to our podcast. You're a paletera too.
I love your finger thing. It's tú.
Tú. Sí, tú.
Me all late.
Bitch.
This is
Ah,
you
you
guys.
see,
I've been
that's
trying to use for the people that can't see us, the little finger, this Mexican thing, which you take your index finger and you do a little yes with your little finger.
And
It's so cute.
People think that it comes from El Chavo del Ocho because that's where it comes from. I think
but
of her
it
too.
does come from-
But I mean, yeah, because El Chavo del Ocho.
But it didn't
used to
come
do
from
it.
him. He got it from Mexican culture, probably, no?
Pero El Chavo es mexicano. O sea,
No, yo sé, pero ya existía antes, ¿no?
No, la verdad no
Oh.
sé. I think El Chavo might have done it first, but then I've seen also drag queens because of their nails.
Oh yeah, they go
Who can't do it like this, but they do it like this. So then the nail clacks with the other nail.
Pues hablando de confesiones, persínense, amigas, because today we're going to talk about religion and spirituality and how it's changed as we discovered our queer identities throughout the years. So, amigas, what was your first interaction with religion and church? And Diosito, la Virgencita.
La Virgencita.
I mean, it's complicated. I definitely do believe that. I think I grew up going to church, but I feel like my parents are those Catholics that go to church and that's it.
That's it,
And
yeah.
always like, pinches hipócritas. They know, I've said it to their face.
Yo voy por los raspados y los duritos after church.
Right.
Yo para comerme la cosita está bien
So
rica.
definitely there's that's what my family's approach was to religion. And then I went to catecismo to do my first communion. I think that might have been the first time that I got introduced to like my own understanding of religion outside of what my parents told me to do. And I went to a church in South Central. If y'all know, shout out to Santa Cecilia on Normandy and King, because the church is beautiful. But I went to church, and then I just remember hearing in catecismo, like being queer. It didn't get brought up, but like it kind of got brought up about men and women, and clearly other people were reading me as queer. So it was just like a whole like unspoken thing that the catecistas were like not down for. And so I just remember ingraining in myself that I was going to go to hell. And so my understanding of like, bitch, like you're like 12, 11, you don't want to go to hell, like whatever that even means, right? And it's the only thing you know, and it's the thing in your family, it's spirit, whatever it is. And so my response to that was to become like fully invested in the Bible.
Yeah.
So like a bitch read the Bible, because in my mind was like, grandma gets to heaven and Diosito's gonna be like, eres una jota, and I'm gonna be like, pero baby, I can quote you the Bible. Ezequiel dijo no sé qué. Génesis te dijo esto. Deuteronomio. Right. Like I even tell you the big names. Like la carta de San Pablo a los apóstoles. And you know, like I can quote the Bible. That was my strategy.
Damn, so you're like, I want to know
all the commandments. And I decided to lean in, because then I found out about being a monaguillo. An altar boy. And when they told me what that entailed, bitch, I was like, I found my place. Because I was like, look, you're telling me that I get to wear a bata that looks like a vestido?
Yeah.
And then you're telling me I get to carry the cross and be the first one and walk that entire aisle and people get to look at me.
Runway, girl.
I was like, hell yeah.
Runway.
So I wrote a poem called Mi Primera Pasarela Fue la Iglesia. Church was my first runway. And I was a monaguillo for about a total period of like 7 years.
Oh my God. You were dedicated.
But yes, I can.
Or you skipped a few.
I know I skipped a few.
Se robaba
years.
dinero from the...
No,
I'm kidding.
I'm kidding. But to me, because Mass was the same every Sunday.
Yeah.
And so that's the first script I memorized. And so I remember every time the priest would do everything from the confesión of like, you know, el cuerpo de la sangre, el cáliz de la alianza eterna, nueva y eterna que se va derramando por todos nosotros, de todos los siglos y los siglos. Justo en ese... Sí, bitch, even you know.
No, es que hace ratito tú justo dijiste justo necesario. Y yo cada rato digo eso because it's just so ingrained in me. And I was like, oh, this fucking resonates. Like, we're just like, it's just sort of relatable.
Yeah, so long story short, I thought that being a monaguillo was my way to salvation. Yeah, pues me vale verga.
Yeah.
And now I'm the priest. I'm kidding.
Ahora tengo mis discípulos.
Now I'm preaching.
Ahora tengo mis discípulos y se arrodillan ante mi bebé. Y comen de mi cuerpo y de mi sangre.
Cada domingo a las 3 por la calle. No,
ahora, perdón, por lo menos. Ay, no
en la esquina del... no, kidding.
Bebé, tengo templo.
That's so interesting.
¿Y tú, Ana Shelia?
No, se me hace muy interesante because I wonder how many of us, queer folk, like we're drawn to religion either because, we're like como tú, or I think because for me, I was very drawn to spirituality también muy chiquita. And, all I knew was Catholicism. So I went all in también. Like both of them, I did all my sacraments, like hice todos mis sacramentos. And
pues todos no, bebé.
No.
Porque no estás
no
casado y no estás muerto.
Ya, pues los
Porque
tres.
Wait, what's the one?
When you die.
Okay, pues the ones that are available to me. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the ones that are available to you.
I'm like, no.
I was like, espérate. Sí, bitch, you got me all spiritual.
Los que me dejan. Pues, pero
I really got the pop quiz and take me. Sorry, perdón.
I know. You could do you could literally do a little Catholic pop quiz right here. A ver quién gana.
A ver si entras al...
¿Quién se sabe? ¿Cómo se llama? ¿Cuál es ¿Cómo empieza
¿En credo?
El credo. ¿Cómo empieza?
Creo en un solo Dios, Padre Todopoderoso, Creador del cielo y de la tierra, de todo lo visible y lo invisible. Creo en un solo espíritu, something.
Yeah, anyways.
Yeah,
I did the primera comunión confirmación,
No,
but
pero
I forgot a lot
so I did
of
my
that
primera
stuff.
comunión, but because I asked my mom if I could do it.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
because both my mom, they were kind of Catholic, pero también igual que like they would go to misa, but not even like every Sunday. And then, but all my friends, I was living in Chicago at the time when I was little. We moved from Mexico City to Chicago. Entonces, and I lived in Little Village, and you're familiar with Little Village. It's a mostly Mexican and Puerto Rican community. And so on Monday morning, todos mis amiguis would get to school and everyone would be talking about what had happened at Sunday school. And I was like, damn, like I want to be in Sunday school.
Let's try to be in Sunday school. I love it.
Entonces, I asked my mom if I could join like the Primera Comunión school class because I wanted to like be with all my friends. So that's why I did it first time. And then I did my confirmación because I felt like very called to the spirit or whatever.
Yeah.
Entonces, sí, yo empecé así and I didn't know anything else, you know? And so like I really felt very spiritual and Catholicism was all that I knew. And so I was really just like I went all in. Y me encantaba como the rituals of it. Like I really actually love the rituals of it.
I love the rituals too.
Yeah, like Palm Sunday, I fucking love that shit. Just like the aesthetics
Right.
and like
It's just also very pagan that the fucking priest se siente en un pinche altar y saca sus chingaderitas y empieza ahí potion making.
It feels so pagan, so old, right? And there's something beautiful to me. I mean, I still think it's beautiful. I think it's fucked up, right? But 100%. I think there's something very beautiful about the rites and the traditions.
I did have one priest once tell me like I think part of our work is to differentiate what is the word of God versus the institution of man.
Yeah. Ooh.
And I was like, wow.
Ooh,
yeah. I fuck with theology, not religion.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, like
that resonates with me.
No, I'm not the same way. Because I mean, I grew up like, my parents were from a little pueblito in Mexico and it's super Mexican, Catholic, traditional. But I feel like I was forced. Like, I didn't want to do the Primera Comunión. Like, going to church every Sunday, I feel like nomás iba pan raspado el elote after church. Do you know what I mean? Like, they were always out there, like, vendiendo elotes after. So I would go and I'm like, we have to go again at 7 in the morning. Like, I feel like it was like a routine that I just didn't enjoy. Like, I didn't really resonate with anything the priest was saying, but I was like, Dios, la Virgencita, like, me persino, you know what I mean? Like, all superstitious. But I did my Primera Comunión. I questioned everything. I think the lady that did, ¿cómo se llama? La catequista?
Sí, catequista.
I think she hated me. Like, she was like, yeah, Cesar, like, stop asking questions.
You're like, ¿por qué?
And I was like, ama, y esto. She's like, tú nomás lee el librito. And I'm like, girl, el librito no dice nada, but like, all the questions I have and I want to get answered.
Pero ¿por qué se mueren los niños?
Yeah, ¿y por qué la gente tiene cáncer? Like, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, why do good
¿Por qué
people
si Dios nos quiere, si Dios es bueno, ¿por qué pasa esto?
Yeah, ¿por qué pasa esto? Y
I mean, that was
porque
always
siempre
my
hablan de
question.
un hombre y mujer and like all this stuff, but I mean, I did my primera comunión, my confirmation. But my confirmation, I did it with a lot of my family friends. We would always just like fuck around and
I mean, that's
like,
what it is.
cheat
Confirmation
and, like,
is kind of just like
you're
hanging out with your friend. You're in high school.
Yeah, or like hacemos una fiesta, tengo un padrino, we'll get presents, I don't know, like have a fun party. But yeah, I feel like I believe in God and higher power, just like the church of it, like the politics and like the money, the greed, like that I didn't resonate with. So I voy a misa, but only if it's like a wedding or something that I have to go to. Because I just feel like, I don't know, the priest to me, like, como que no, I don't resonate with the teach.
Yeah. Pero cuando estaba chiquita, I was into it.
You were into it?
Yeah.
No, yo me dormía, yo veía unos juguetitos.
When I was little, and I was that little bitch. Like I was in confirmation class.
Little church bitch.
No, yeah, because like, no, what I mean by that is like,
Cut that out.
No, it's
no. Church bitch, I love it.
No,
I was a little church bitch. I had to go on purpose. Like I had to go.
Pero yo digo because I literally was so into it that like I would get pissed at my friends and when they were talking during the misa.
Oh,
that's what I mean by little bitch.
I'm trying to listen, bitch.
I was like, yeah, like I'm trying to be a good Catholic. And unfortunately that really, because again, like I just was drawn to spirituality, but this is all I knew is like, I wanted to be the best. Así como tú, like, you know,
it's a Capricorn thing.
Yeah. You wanted to save yours. And for me, I wanted to be the best Catholic I could be. And then once I found out, I was like, oh, this is not aligned with like what I'm starting to notice that I'm feeling for women. I was like, pues, I don't know what to do because I want to be the best Catholic I can be. Like that. That's what I wanted to be.
Yeah.
I want to be the best Catholic.
I was a monaguillo the first time between like ages 10 and 12.
Yeah.
And then I went back to be a monaguillo. Okay, maybe I did it for like 5 years. Because then I went back between the ages of like 13, 17, 16, like that period, as a teenager. But then it was two different churches. And the funny thing is that when I went back as a teenager, Girl, I was just there checking out people.
Yeah.
Because you get to sit in the front, bitch. Entonces, cuando vienen para la comunión, you have to do a little platito shit. You're like, you're cute. Oh, you not, bitch. Open phone.
A ti no te toca hoy.
A ti no te... El cuerpo de Cristo. Pa ti no, bitch. Pa ti no. But then I remember also one of the other girls was cute. And so I used to, hang out with I had my friend. But I don't think he was queer. I don't think so. But I had my little crush. So.
You had a crush? Did you have any queer Catholic religious icons?
Not queer icons. I had maybe queer experiences in the church in undergrad. Because I went to a Lutheran college.
Oh, shit.
And so different, so there was chapel. We weren't forced to go, but I appreciated it because it was like 30-minute breaks. And we had like a balcony where the organ was. And I think the repressed Catholic in me was like, what if? And I totally gave somebody a blowjob in the pews upstairs. And I was like, es una experiencia religiosa. Shout out to Enrique Iglesias. But that being said, you know what? I think there have been queer folks in Catholicism. I mean, pues aquí andamos los jotas aquí joteando, ¿no? We were all raised by it. So this brings us to that segment that you all love en casita que se llama ¿Sabías qué? A huevo, hasta tengo corito. Hoy vamos a hablar de Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz, who was a 17th century Mexican nun. Basically, she's known more for her writings and her poetries and a little bit of lesbian love. Se sabe. Y también se encuentra en el billete de $1 mexicano. No sé cuál peso, pero uno de esos. Basically, and she's also considered one of Latin America's greatest writers and thinkers and and advocates for feminist rights. And a lot of the times what folks don't really understand is that when she was 16, she asked her parents to actually go to school. Y pues en ese entonces, amiga, pues las mujeres no podían estudiar unless they like dressed as boys, very second wave feminism, Dito. And so what homegirl did was like, fuck it, I'm gonna become a nun, I'm gonna become a monja, not necessarily because I believe in God, but I can write. And then I was talking about God in there, and it became a cute thing. And so now we know a lot of her poems is a queer lesbian love. So shout out to Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz.
Ahead of her time.
Ahead of her time. Ahead of her time. Porque esto es ¿Sabías qué?
¿Qué? Did you guys ever go to a retiro? Like in church? Because
that's where I drew the line.
No, really? I feel like you must have gone because you... Oh, no, really?
Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. It's you.
What? It's only me?
Well, what shall we do in those
No, it's because I would
like
spend...
a little confirmation retiro or what?
Yeah, it was right before my confirmation, but I would spend all my summers like in Mexico and in Pueblo, and they do like crazy retiros. And we would stay like at the... I don't know cómo se llama, like the little casita that's next to the church.
La Rectoria.
Yeah, so we would like stay there for like a few days, like a weekend. And it was all my family friends from Chicago that were like, we were visiting our grandma. So all our moms were like, pues métase en el retiro. And I was like, bro, I don't want to go to this retiro. I was traumatized after the retiro. Like, it was so bad.
What y'all do?
I mean, it was like an all guys retiro, but like not like
a
bad,
youth, it was like a youth retiro, no?
Yeah, it was like a youth retiro, like before our confirmación. So we were like 14, like 15, I guess. And I mean, it was like fun. You get to meet, like, you get to hang out with all your friends from like El Pueblo, like your primos, your family friends. But they talked about like all these topics, like queer stuff, and how like eso es malo, like hombre con hombre, mujer con mujer. And I was kind of just there like, what? Like, I'm literally like alone.
Was it like conversion therapy? Or
No,
that was like the
that was one of the topics. Yeah, that was one of the
okay.
topics. But the one that got me the most was like, they talked about abortion, but like super dramatic, where they like had all these pictures, images, and the priest was like yelling, like literally yelling at us. Instead of having a conversation where they're like, these are options, like, I don't know, it was like so weird to me. But yo me acuerdo que se levantó y tiró la cruz en el suelo, and there was like pieces everywhere. And I was looking at my family friends like, girl, like, sáquenme de aquí. This is like too like traumatized, like dramatic. I was like, girl, ya me voy.
Sí.
Throws everything on the floor. But I was just like, mom was like, ¿cómo se les pasaron? Like, mucha gente llora and like they have a great time and it's like liberating. But for me, I was just like, I feel like they just yelled at us so much like stuff that should be ingrained in your head.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't like this.
That sounds like gaslighting.
Yeah, it was so much gaslighting. That's what it was.
And indoctrination, no?
Yeah,
100%.
It's like, I feel like I'm like a little cult. Like, I was like...
Yeah, you could sense it. I mean, that's great that you like didn't sort of like fall for that.
I was like, I'm not like, I believe in God and like La Virgen, but like this is like too much. Like, I don't know. I feel like everyone should have options, but yeah, I thought you guys would have been to a retiro.
No.
I was forced.
That's right, through the line. You know, the only other experience that I had outside of church, I mean like church, my mom had to do like volunteer for whatever reason. I'm not gonna tell her shit like that out here on the stories. Pero you know.
Not you dropping your mom's tea.
I know. I'm not gonna get into details. But my mom had to do community service when I was young. And so we would go with her. And so I'd spend a lot of time in the rectoria and like in the behind the scenes of the church. And I remember I got to like walk behind in la sacristia, which is like the behind the altar part and where all the things are. So I was out up in the church. But yo, I swear the church Santa Cecilia is haunted, everybody. On Normandy and the King, it's haunted.
I feel like we have to go after
you guys,
this
my house
episode.
is haunted. I don't know if we can talk about that later.
Oh, I want to hear that. We got to do an episode about scary stories. That's a 5th episode. I think that one's easy. And it's easy.
Well, back to this episode.
But so I definitely, outside of that church experience, that was that. But there's something you mentioned about the rituals that I loved. Because the thing that got me the most, to be real with you, at least in the way that it was done in Santa Cecilia, were the hymns.
Okay.
Like the music, there was something about the singing and the acoustics are beautiful in that church. So I just have a very vivid image of me being little, because I was little, and looking at the chandelier and just hearing the voices fill the air. And there's a lot of beautiful imagery on top of in the ceiling.
Not me looking up right now.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of beautiful imagery, and for me, that with the singing was spirit. It was weird. I don't necessarily think of Catholicism in that way. I think I found spirit in many other ways now, and I know what I believe in for sure. But in that moment, at such a young age, that to me was the majestic of what spirit is. Yeah. So that's where you took me.
Yeah, no, that's really beautiful. I think we probably all went through a relationship with Catholicism and breaking with it and whatever, right? Would love to hear what that looked like for y'all. But I think, así como tú lo dijiste, like there was spirit that I could see, I could sense something, but it wasn't like through the practice of like how Catholicism is done. But there was there's something there that allowed me to connect with spirit more. But it wasn't necessarily a lot of the practices of the church, if that makes sense. Yeah,
I feel like that brings us to like also our journey with spirituality, because we would go to church, but like it wasn't necessarily for like, I don't know, all the rules and all the restrictions and like how like, what's the word, confined we were to like.
Yeah, it's like I appreciated things about being in church that did make me feel more connected to God, right? And even the practice of like eating the body or whatever. There was something really beautiful to me about that like, you know.
Ya me dio hambre, se me antojó un vinito.
Es que yo dije, el cuerpo de quién, bebé. Ay, perdón.
Oh my God.
Ay, no. Es que yo escuché comer y cuerpo y dije, ufa, ya, bebé. Yo después de este episodio, ¿qué?
Pero yeah, I think I connected with the idea of like the divine in me as I ate the body of Christ. You know, like being connected to God in a way, like through that, like that I could really connect with. Like, okay, now that I've eaten the body, I'm gonna sit down on the little thingy, and I'm gonna pray, and this is the moment that I'm gonna feel the most connected to God, because I literally just ate their body.
Right. No, 100%.
Right. And
I love that you say that, because I went to a Lutheran college, a Lutheran Norwegian college. Shout out to St. Olaf in Minnesota. In Minnesota. That's a whole nother story. But interestingly enough, we had to take like a theology course, and we had to take ethics. But I went to a talk once, and they said something, I don't remember exactly what the entire talk was about, but they said something, basically the argument was that if we are made in the image of God, the only image of God we have is body. So the soul is the body. And this notion that the body is our temple, and it's not that the soul is this spirit thing, that it's mind thing, but truly the spirit lives in the body, because if we are made in the image of God, the only image that we all share is body, regardless of all the identity politics that go with it. Yeah. But that was interesting. I'm curious, and we started talking about this, but where are other forms that we have now found spirit? To your question of like, we going to church, right, because we were kind of forced to, but there was still something that called this in the journey of spirituality. Like, where else have we been able to find spirit now in what you know, or in what you feel, believe?
Yeah, I think that like, it's what I was starting to speak to, like earlier when I was like how feeling like the divine, like it is in me, because I feel like what we were taught in Catholic Church is that like the way that you could speak to God was through the priest. Like I felt like I grew up thinking there was a big division between me and God, and that I can't have a personal relationship with God. So that's what I grew up believing, right? And that's why when I would eat I was like, oh, this is me connecting with God. And that feeling was so, and I think now where I am is like, rejecting the separation. Because now I feel like the what I believe is in that like God is all around us, and and God is in me. And when I connect to spirit, it's even like when I'm, for example, when I'm journaling, right? When I put my phone away and I'm just journaling and I really get into it, sometimes me salen como palabras, like I'm writing words that I'm like, where did this come from? This feels so like coming from such a beautiful, deep place that I wasn't able to access until like really quieted around like what was around me. And in that moment, that, for example, like that feels like God, right? It's like God is speaking through me because I gave it enough time to just like that quietness. So I think the connection, I see, connection to spirit in those like moments of stillness. Yeah. So that's, I'll say that. I'll start with that. What about y'all?
No, for me, I also went to a Catholic private school in Chicago. Shout out to DePaul University. But they weren't really super Catholic. It was like super liberal city school. But I also took a few classes to like understand like theology and like from a different lens, because I was so used to like what the Catholic Church would teach us. But it wasn't until I came to LA and one of my friends took me to like a Christian non-denominational church or
non-denominational.
And I feel like I went to this church with one of my best friends from back home, and I actually cried in church for the first time. Like cried. Like that was like the first time I paid attention. I was like 23, 24 in church, and I was like, oh my God, like this, like the pastor is like really speaking to like your relationship with God and not necessarily like throwing religion in your face. Like, I don't know, like he focused on a Bible verse and he was like, I'm not here to preach religion and all this stuff and like all these norms. I'm just here to like help you grow your relationship with God. And I feel like for me, that was like the first time where I was like, I was so like negative about it. And now I'm like more intentional, like cuando rezo, when I'm grateful, or I'm just like trying to connect with my relationship with God. And I feel like that kind of changed my whole mindset. And I would go to that church and my mom was like, that was like camino de religión. And I was like, no, girl, like I'm just focusing on like my relationship with God. Like I'm grateful, like yo le pido like once in a while, you know what I mean? And like, that's how I feel close to my spirituality. And I don't need to like go to church on Sunday para sentirme más cerca a Dios. Like I feel like Dios me sigue, we're like this, you know what I mean? Like, but that's kind of how I got to that point.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I think I find spirit now, funny enough, I think it's very, like the two things that come to mind are very, who speak to me. So kind of to your point of like, we are divine. But I find it for sure in dancing. Like I was trained in Afro-Cuban, and so there's a lot of dances that are rooted in like the orishas, which are like the orishas are like the deities in the religion, the Yoruba religion. And there was just some of the dances that just felt so innate to my body that it didn't feel like it was a choreography. It felt like it was movement I had known before. And there was just something so magical about taking over and the music and the drums and the dancing and the story and the falda, that there were moments that I would lose myself in the stories, that I was like, this is spirit. And I think the other place that I found it, sorry.
I have a question for you.
I think the other place that I found it is in laughter. There's just something about laughter. Like, I mean, we've had moments like this, I feel like even on this podcast, that it's just this unconditional laugh that you don't know where it comes from. That there's maybe some bio explanation to what is happening, and that anatomically or whatever, pero nace de un lugar tan mágico that to me that is spirit. And when you think about like everything and all of the poison that identity politics in some ways has brought into our world, there's just something so joyous about laughter, but it's like that has to be spirit.
You had a question. Two thoughts. I mean, as you were sharing that, I was, feeling very moved by your words. But
ahorita va a bailar.
No,
ay no, protégeme, Señor, con tu espíritu. Protégeme, Señor,
con tu espíritu.
I forgot the words, girl.
Entre tus manos.
Oh my God.
Está mi vida, Señor.
Look at me.
Entre
we're little Catholic girlies.
Manos, Pongo mi existir.
Yeah, I know that one. That's one of my favorite. Vivir para vivir. Anyways. No,
We're going to miss after this?
Okay. No, 3 things. Now I got 3 things to say. Number 1, like I feel like that what you said about laughter, I feel like and what I hear and what I'm interpreting is like that in deep presence is God. In deep presence.
Yeah. Okay, that's the word. Okay. That's the word.
Entonces eso es lo que me hizo pensar. But something I was thinking about you is that I feel like you're so connected to spirit, right? And because I feel it in you, like I feel it in your energy, and I think I especially feel it in the way that you connect to your body. And I feel like that's something that I realize. It's like the less that I'm like in here, the more that I've been shifting into here, the more that I feel more connected to spirit. Because like I feel like a lot of what happens here, this overthinking, that's not connection to spirit. That's connection to everything, all the external shit. And so when you can really be connected to your body, and I feel like dance allows you to do that. Deep laughter, you're just in deep presence with like the people that you're in relation with. Like that is God, right?
There's this really dope poet named Sonia Renee Taylor that has this poem that later became a book called The Body is Not an Apology, but they have a line that says that the body is not something to be prayed for, the body is something to be prayed to. And I was like, that line.
That's so beautiful. Yeah. And I feel like part of where I'm at with my spiritual journey right now is like, what are the ways that I can more deeply connect to spirit? And I'm seeing that like what I was missing for a big part of my life is a greater connection to my body and and believing in the wisdom of the body. Because I didn't used to see that it had the same value, if not more, right? Like I never thought about like, oh, the body can carry so many things. And so that is where I'm trying to connect with my spirit. And now it's like through the connection to body. Yeah.
It's so cute. I'm like, my body needs a paleta.
But the last thing I was going to say, this is a little more on a silly note, is that, we've been singing songs, we've been saying little pieces of, oraciones that we know. And I'm just curious if y'all remember when you were little and you were learning these oraciones, if y'all knew them completely different, because I'll tell you, like, I used to think they were something else. So, like, I'll give you an example. You know that one oración, let's see, ruega por nosotros pecadores, right? I forget which one that is. Well, I thought it was pescadores.
Not pescadores, bitch.
So I was imagining, I was learning the little prayer and I was picturing like little fishermen. and then the other one, el fruto de tu vientre Jesús. And I didn't know what the fuck fruto meant. So I was like, oh, like, does she have frutos? Does she have carrying a basket of frutas?
That's like thinking la Virgen was fucking chiquita.
So I was imagining la Virgen con una canasta de frutas, güey.
Wait, also, did you guys only pray in Spanish?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, same, because
because I went to a Lutheran college.
I know our father, but that's it.
It sounds so different. It sounds pretty in Spanish. Like in Spanish, I'm like, or like con las posadas. Like, I do enjoy doing all of that because I feel like it's like out of respect and everything for like how I grew up. I think it's beautiful and it sounds pretty in Spanish.
I'm telling you, my favorite part of church was, and then I sang in the choir. Then I went to I sang in a youth choir at St. Agnes Church in Santa Inés on Adams.
I know that church. I've been to that church.
Yeah, and so I sang in the choir because there was like a choir that was like youth and it was more millennial.
Yeah.
So all the songs were like cumbias.
There's a lot of people of color in that church, no?
Yeah. And there was like, all of it was cumbias and we had one ska song. It was great. And so we used to do like little more hip versions.
Yeah, the choir is good there, no? If I remember right.
You probably went when I was singing in the choir.
Maybe.
Like, I mean, I probably still there.
I know that.
Right. But I mean, it's all the fucking songs that, you know what are the songs that fuck with me the most? The Resurrección songs.
Yeah.
There's just some like that. Cristo Jesús resucitó, cantar queremos en su honor, porque a la muerte derrotó. Aleluya.
Oh my God, look at you.
So we find peace.
I'm like the only masculine thing about me is my bass voice. Or my favorite Primera Comunión song that you all bitches might know because we all did it. Tomado de la mano con Jesús yo voy.
I feel like I blacked out during my Primera Comunión, but I'll go to church randomly.
Esta es la iglesia. Esta es la iglesia que
I don't know. You guys don't know how those canciones.
Día de alegría. Día de alegría y de la de alabaré, 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 alabaré a mi Señor. ¿Cómo dice? Alabaré
And then the little thing, yeah.
No.
Can we see an ass now?
Not the.
You're like at church, like,
It's a good song.
But then the chorus is
con
like,
todo respeto.
miro al cielo nuevo, una nube blanca que va pasando. Miro a la tierra, veo una multitud que va caminando. Como esa nube blanca no saben something a dónde ir. Pero el secreto nuevo es something te pide tu Señor. ¿Cómo dice? Jesucristo. Oh, no.
Wow. Okay,
wait,
I kind of want to go to church with you
Sorry.
guys. I feel like we all need to go to church together. Otra cancioncita.
Jesucristo. I love the cue that I'm like,
Not the remix.
Yeah, right. The Paleta remix.
Hola, hola, productora.
Oh, my favorite person.
Ay, yo quiero de fresa.
Oh, yeah, girl, because
Mangoneada, ahora sí,
yes.
mangoneada, yeah. This is my new favorite flavor, you guys.
Be grateful. Not good.
¿Con crema? Es que me gusta la crema.
No, you ya.
We've been talking this episode about religion. Do you have any particular takes on religion?
My relationship with religion is really complicated because my parents were Seventh-day Adventists.
Oh my God.
Different,
That's like a whole nother, like, that's way more intense than Catholicism.
yeah,
no?
no, it's a different what is it? Denominación.
Denomination.
I struggle with that word.
Aquí somos días.
Let me try. I couldn't
I
say
know,
it.
man.
I couldn't say it either.
Pero bueno,
Digo, dominate es otra cosa. That's also a
Domination?
church.
I'm like, what kind of church is that? I want to
y
go.
pues sí son muy estrictos, muy, end of the world, like muy de que nada más Dios, no celebramos la Navidad, los cumpleaños.
Oh my God, you
nada,
celebrate
nada más
Christmas?
los sábados para Dios y es todo. Y muy extremos, pues sí. Just grew up with that. My brothers were very religious. They were homeschooled for a long time at one point. So they were very affected by it. I left home when I was 18. So I only got like a few years of it. And I, corrida, so I left when I was so young. But my brothers stuck around, and now I see the aftermath of, what they had to deal with, just being really like secluded and just having like religion, like a very aggressive, view of religion, like shoved down their throat, or at least like, taught it, like tried to be, let me rewind, like that idea of religion just like, really forced, into their lives. And, they struggle with it. And maybe because I didn't deal with, their experience, I try to remind them that our experience is very unique and we should take all of this anger, which I had when I was younger and they currently have, and turning into something positive, and have empathy and really just like focus on the positive things that religion has taught us rather than dwell in the negative, right? Because I do believe that there's a lot of beauty in religion and there's a lot of interesting and just like very pure like ideas. But of course they become tainted by men, by other people's ideas, by ego, by
Power.
Power, control, manipulation.
Patriarchy.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that one.
And it's been an interesting journey since my stepfather has passed away, for sure. And then seeing my mom just open up and become a whole different person from like the very subdued woman that she was, a little less than 2 years ago, to being a completely different person.
Do you feel like she's really opened up,
She's
like
really
more of her
opened up,
personality?
yeah, she's become herself.
Oh,
So yeah,
Wow.
I'm just here airing my family's laundry, dirty laundry out,
That's okay. But also thank you for bringing a different perspective because, I mean, from what I've heard, we all were raised Catholic. So thank you for bringing in a perspective of Seventh-day Adventists that I don't
I don't know much about either.
And I'm not saying anything negative against Seventh-day Adventist people, but I'm just saying that type of extremist mentality when it comes to extremist mentality plus religion, could be something really detrimental to people, especially to like sons, daughters, who are forced to be in a household, who are forced to go to church, who are forced to believe this and that. Yeah, and especially queer children on top of it.
100%.
yeah.
So that's
And how is your spirit today?
good, very happy, very at peace. And that's what I'm trying to share with my siblings, to just be at peace and to move forward and move past the oppression anger and feeling,
yeah,
a
like
certain way about
transforming that pain into
It's
power,
a little more
into
positive.
And more
connection.
intentional
Yeah.
too.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
pues qué cute.
Yeah. Well,
Thank
you
you,
guys for having me.
productora. Oh,
Thank you,
we
productora.
love you.
Or like,
Let me take basurita.
Y basurita.
Basurita.
No, you took mine.
So, bye.
Adios.
wait, this paleta tastes really good.
Bitch, I'm really getting saved by this right now. I'm like, damn, bitch. I'm like, only paletas de crema for me, please.
You like that one?
Oh, it's so good, bitch.
Fresas con crema, ¿no?
Oh, fuck.
Oh my god. Then
Se la comió toda.
Te doy más. I can't. But yeah, like we talked about, so much. I'm like,
Yeah.
my head's trying to like pinpoint. But where do you guys stand now with religion and as an adult, and even folks that are, you might have family members that are super religious and might not agree with like your spirituality point of view?
Yeah, I think for me, like, I mean, I don't identify as Catholic. I think it's still like, there's obviously like that cultural Catholic connection. Like, I think that we all share, like, you still know these songs, you know what I'm saying? So like it's still a part that there's a cultural connection to it. I still observe some traditions. Like I really enjoy the tradition of Lent as a period of reflection, and that's how I think of it. Like, oh, this is an opportunity for me to
Like
do some
Quaresma?
spiritual. So I there is something about the traditions that I really enjoy. I reject a lot of the church, but there's something beautiful about traditions and Lent. So there's some, I acknowledge that kind of connection to the church, but I obviously reject it as an organized religion that I follow. I take a little bit from Buddhism as well. There's a lot of elements of Buddhism that I really appreciate that have been very helpful for my spiritual journey and connection. So there's a little bit of that. But yeah, I think today I don't follow a particular organized religion, just different elements from different ones. But I feel I consider myself a spiritual person. I feel connected and seeking connection to God. And like I said, like I'm seeking how I can do that. And I feel the most at peace and the most content when I do feel more connected to myself. And to me, a greater connection to myself is a greater connection to God, right? Así lo veo yo. And yeah, and I mean, luckily, I feel really grateful that my family, most of my family was raised Catholic, and they're the kind of Catholic that isn't that Catholic, like little C Catholic, where like they believe in God, but they don't, like most of my family, extended family, doesn't really go to church like that. And so there's everybody, I feel really grateful, but everybody in my family, except maybe like one or two tias that I'm not as close to, like everyone's really supportive of me, and I unfortunately don't have like super religious family members that are like, like that are close to, that are very anti like LGBTQ plus people. Yeah, so I feel grateful in that way. Yeah, how about you?
I've had journeys. I truly do believe that where I stand now, I truly do believe that we as queer bodies and we as queer peoples are magical creatures.
Yeah.
And to me, that's sacred. And to me, that is religion. To me, that is spirit.
Yeah.
Especially in a world where, like, trying to find to explain something. And to this day, we truly can't explain queerness. And to me, that's the fucking magic of it. And I'm like, and don't try to find us. Don't try to explain us or tell her like the beginning of, So there's something very interesting about that I find magical. Like I said, through dance, and then through dance, I found what's called the nile, which is basically like a house, a lokumi house of the Yoruba tradition and from Cuba. And so I learned a lot from there and spent time with the community and have been in ceremony. It's a very humbling way of community building, and I have a padrino and all that, and then I went to Mexico, and there is a moment where I've been sitting with, at least what I learned in the last community, there was a couple of things that would come up, and like in my own readings and my own journey, that I realized were things that I needed to work through. And I had to sit with, like, I was trying to find therapy in spirit, and that's not the responsibility of spirit. So I had to go to therapy. And so I went to therapy, and I think through therapy, I found a lot of answers that were explained a lot of different things, like my anxiety. Like I really didn't sit with the fact that I have anxiety and learning to navigate that, but that it's been my whole life. And I just thought I was like cute and spontaneous and cool. But no, it was just anxious and impulsive. So I think that, since being in Mexico, I found another spirit there. And it's been the spirit of like deepening who I am as a person and personal growth, also being spiritual. So it's kind of where I'm at the moment. I mean, I still go back to laughter, dance, and queerness. That to me will always be. Yo quiero escribir la carta de los apóstoles de la putería. El evangelio de la putería.
I love that.
That's my next poem.
You have that beautiful poem. I actually would love if you.
El credo de los cuerpos.
Is it kind of short? I would love if you could read that. That is just so.
I think my favorite one that I'll share is, it's kind of short, but I'll have to find it because I don't have it memorized. But my favorite is, mi primera pasarela fue la iglesia.
Yeah.
It was a church where I discovered love. Y sus ojos eran como girasoles en búsqueda del sol. Y yo era el sol. Y claro, ellos adoraban a Dios, a Jesús su Dios. Pero en ese momento yo era el Mesías. That's my favorite.
I love that.
Wait, everything you said was beautiful. I feel like the queerness, like
that's really resonating with me, and I'm actually going to take that with me. The idea of like our queerness really being sacred,
and
it is,
and magical, and I mean it's true. And like I want to lean into that as like part of like even like my spiritual journey.
Like I'm not,
and it's always evolving.
Instead of seeing it something
like
we need to repress, something we need
changing.
Like I didn't think that little kid that was out here trying to pass the pop quiz of heaven. I never thought that I would lean in to be this version of myself.
Yeah.
That one is wearing pink, that has, my hair is dyed, that is wearing a skirt, like whatever this version of my queerness is. I just remember being young and being so afraid every time I got misgendered.
Yeah.
And as an adult, while it is exhausting, I love being misgendered in some way because it's a testament to not knowing what the fuck I am.
Yeah,
An experience. And I love that. So I do think that is sacred.
I love that.
What about you, Sor?
I think what Shelia said really resonated with me as well, because I don't consider myself like, I mean, I grew up Catholic, but I don't really like preach Catholicism. But I have found like more peace in myself and like the universe and God just by growing that relationship with myself and my body and like the universe, where I feel like I feel at peace. I trust the universe where everything is going, and that's kind of like where I'm at now. But there's times where some tias try to try to like shove stuff, and I'm like, girl, I respect every religion, I respect everyone. It's not a topic for today. Y así lo dejo. But yeah, I'm just at peace. I feel like God, la Virgencita, me están cuidando. The universe is doing its thing. Like what you said, I feel like I need to practice that more too, about our queerness being
sacred.
Yeah, sacred. I feel like that's beautiful.
I have one last really question for y'all. Do you have what's like something like a spiritual practice? What kinds of spiritual practices? Now I'm also like including in that like brujeria, or not just brujeria, but like traditions that come from out, like, that are not like Catholic or other types of faiths. Any kinds of practices? I can share mine, but
me praying in the sauna room.
Because you did it temazcal. Like that's a spiritual.
I did it temazcal. Yeah, that was temazcal was beautiful. Siento que me ayudó como deshogarme. I feel like you.
Well, I'll share what I know of it. Yeah. I mean, it's a pre-Hispanic tradition, and it's like it takes place in like this dome. It's really dark inside, and it's supposed to represent like a mother's womb, so that when you come out, it's like you're like a rebirth. It's a rebirth, and it's done in like 4 different stages. I think it's the 4 elements, or it could also be the 4 directions. I think it's all of the things, cuatro puertas, and then each sort of section gets longer, gets shorter, but it gets hotter. So they put stones, and it's a lot hotter. And then you do different chants, and you connect with yourself, with your ancestors. And
there's like a shaman that like leads the whole journey, and you talk about like what you're grateful for, something that you like want to release too. So it gets very intimate depending on like who's in there with you. But I think it's a beautiful journey. I did it with my dad recently, and he was sitting next to me, and like he was just saying all the stuff he was grateful for. I was saying all the stuff I was grateful for, and like something I wanted to like go up and change. And like we both just started crying, and like I don't know, people, la gente se desahoga mucho, and I think it's like a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful release,
and you just connect with like yourself and your body, and like you're in the dark, so you have to really like hone into like your spiritual connection.
But also, I love the fact that in Spanish, sorry to interject, but I love that in Spanish we have the word desahogar, which is like to not drown.
Yeah, because how do you, in English, there's not a word. Like,
No. No.
That's beautiful, like not drown.
Vale, pues paletitas, I think we reached the end of our episode.
Y nosotros en la iglesia, bueno, como termina el evangelio, oremos.
Oremos.
Oremos paletitas.
Oremos,
juntas.
paletitas. Bueno, amigas, ojalá que encuentren un poquito de casa en ustedes mismas, that you find your own freedom, whatever your definition of spirit is. And remember, I always believe in one of my poems that we as queer people love hard and must love hard in the name of the ancestors who had to love in secret. Porque es justo y necesaria.
Amén.
I love that.
I know
Vamos
que
a
me
reír.
Ay, teachers, ay, no.
No llores.
Este es el podcast que hizo el Señor. ¿Qué hizo? Podcast de alegría y putería.
Pues anyways, paletitas, thank you for joining us on another episode. I'm Cesar Camacho.
Y yo soy Nalgona.
Y Ana Shelia.
Y recuerden, la vida es más sabrosa con nosotras porque somos
Las Paleteras.
Las Paleteras.
Hi, Paletitas. This podcast is produced by Joel and Elpidio Perez, along with your hosts. Las Paleteras is edited by Augusto Martinez, with music by Cintia Morado and Ingrid Guijarro. Special thanks to our friends at Mitu and Sonoro for production support.